But are you sensitive and aware of any kind of a presence? You better be. Our entire religious structure is built upon the awareness of these realities and the details thereof. Let's shift now. We're not here to talk religion. I'm not here to talk to you about religion at all. Those entities whom we call representatives, malachim, like the ones who came in Genesis chapter 6, who took the daughters of men and gave rise to the Nephilim, fallen ones. They were not giants. The word giant is not there in Genesis, so don't go looking for that for the evidence of a 6 foot, of a 10-foot tall guys. 10-foot tall guys were here long ago. All right? Some might still be around. Ask some of the soldiers who fought in Afghanistan. Or maybe that was just a lie. Yeah. Moving right along. Who were these people? Even Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik, Alav Shalom, was the Rosh Hashiva Brisk. He wrote, and he knew, they were what our traditions call the Ishim. They were representatives. We call them Malachim, but what they were the pre-Adamic humans who went to another planet, and lived there, maybe in a different dimension of that planet that we would be experiencing. So I will tell you this, you can accept this or not. Every planet in our solar system, Mars, Venus, Mercury, even the moon, they're all fully inhabited with ancient civilizations that are technologically advanced with millions and millions of inhabitants. But maybe not in our dimension of perception. Here's something you need to understand. When these, in quote, flying saucers and other ships are coming, they're not coming from outer space. Nay. They're coming interdimensionally. They're coming from another dimension. When they shot down that craft in Roswell, they knew darn well that was not a ship that had intergalactic or outer space capability. It was an interdimensional craft. Strange how, of all people, Steven Spielberg got that right in his Indiana Jones movie. What was it? The Crystal Skulls? And that the flying saucer at the end. They said, where do they come from? They say, the place between places. Little subtle little hints there. This whistleblower from the Pentagon pretty much said the same thing. We're not dealing with extraterrestrials. Oh, they're out there all right. Big time. We're dealing with interdimensionals. And interdimensionals and extraterrestrials are kind of overlapping. Because once you actually get out there, this bubble of what we think is the material world becomes a little more fluid and flexible. And you shift into parallel dimensions physically. And that is the common reality. A point that's made very clear by our sages is the reality of presences of the hollow earth, inner earth. Full civilizations are down there. All the Shadim and the Jinn live down there. Pre-Adamic civilizations, all different walks of life. You know, what do they call the Yeti, Bigfoot? That's indigenous race that lives down there. The Mothman indigenous race lives down there. All of them live down there. When they normally come up here to this world, remember they're in a different dimension. They astral project into our dimension in the same way we astral project to theirs. So if I were going to visit inner earth, like I said, I don't have a flying saucer in my my garage there, and I don't think my Ford has a gas tank big enough that's going to take me to inner earth. So the only way I'm going to get there is either to remote view or astral project. So in inner earth, who's there, what's there, one of the races that we know live down there is a race called the Nishaya. And they are described as these little guys with big eyes and no noses. Sounds like a gray. Okay? That's who they are. They're not from Zeta Reticuli and all that other crap. They're interdimensional entities from inner Earth. Tell me something. If you were a government agent and you sought contact with these entities, just like the Nazis did before, and your intent and purpose is to solicit from them technological advancement, the likes of which have been very relevant in the last 50, 60, 70 years, what would you pay for that? Pretty much anything. That's what the governments of our world have done. They made a deal with those non-human intelligent civilizations who religiously we call Shadim. And at the time, being they didn't believe in such things, they didn't even know it. And if you want to talk about something to hide, boy oh boy, you don't have anything more important to hide than that. And these Shadim are not these mystical religious little figures with pitchforks that would come and send you to hell. Put your myths aside. They are clearly, in their own way, physical, intelligent, and powerful beings. No, they're not flying around with wings. They fly around in technological crafts, the likes of which, when we get our hands on, we reverse engineer and recognize the reality of them as opposed to the fantasy of them. And they're very, very present. Entities of this nature, according to Rabbi Menachem Tziuni, that wrote, 700 years ago maybe, they have been craving to intermarry with human beings since the beginning. All kinds of midrashim talk about that. You can even go on to websites like Sefaria, is it sefaria.org, and pull up the book Kaf Yashar, and chapters 68, 69, and read about a marriage between a human being and a shed, the likes of which the inheritance of his children were debated between his demonic children and his human children. And had to be adjudicated, and the bet did. And they don't tell the stories of myth. These things are real. And that's what is the big secret. You see, what our governments have discovered is that all the things that all the spiritual and the mystical and the Kabbalists have been talking about for millennia, they know it's real. They experience now. They're able to recognize the technological reality of all of these things, and everybody tries to keep the secret from everybody else. But let's let the cat out of the bag. The Chinese, they're way ahead of everybody. The Chinese were an energetic based society. They understood and knew the concept of qi. And through that, that's one of the reasons why they invaded Tibet, is to gain access to inner earth. And they have now become their representatives, just like the Nazis were before them. And as such, they understand the psychic dimension and how to interact within it. The Russians, they've been far ahead of the Americans as well in all what we call parapsychological studies and the likes of what they are capable of doing. Read in the books of Kabbalah Ma'asit what we do through technologies, and that's a correct word to use, like Sefer Yetzirah, through the use of holy names, through the proper tonal technologies.
What he means is that they chant the Tetragrammaton over and over again in order to go into altered states or to astral project. I'm just giving you one example of a rabbi here who looks like he's going into a trance or is just coming out of one or something.
You must learn a new way to think before you master a new way to be. I want to take you on a journey to show you a place that I've been, experiences that I've experienced. For the last decades of my life, it's been a very intense journey. And we're walking out of the forest to share some of those fruits with you. But I realize, as much as I want to take you straight to the experience, because that's so much what is needed, that is so much what's missing, that's so much what we're yearning for, that for some people we've seen when they step into the mastery program, when they step into the seminars, and such powerful things happen, such transformative things happen, the heavens open up for them, whatever happens, happens. It can be disorientating for some people because they don't really understand what is this thing, what are they experiencing, and where is this coming from, and what is this about?
Remember, God created the world through sound. The entire universe operates through that tonal technology. So by having the proper oscillations of sound, you can manipulate everything that's made in this material world. Those who know these secrets have a technology at their disposal, the likes of which makes everything else obsolete.
So I want to share with you some of the Tetragrammaton clips that they have online. On YouTube, they have several YHWH or YHVH Tetragrammaton chants. And what they do is chant this over and over again and include other names, so-called names of God, so they can go into these altered states.
With that being said, you can understand why there's a mad dash to understand these things and why it must be kept out of the hands of the public. Because the public ain't going to handle this. Like I said, if AT is all the way out there, cool, they're far away. But the book of Daniel makes it very clear that these entities are right here. They're telepathic entities. Just like E.T., who they entertained at Roswell, gave them full debriefing telepathically. Well, we still communicate telepathically with all of these other entities. There was a race of highly evolved reptilians who matured and evolved on Earth and have since ascended. And they presently serve Hashem, God. And they are reptilian entities, maybe evolved dinosaurs, who knows? I don't think the dinosaurs were so 65 million years ago. They were probably a lot closer than that. But aside from that, an evolved reptilian race. They are referred to as, in the Sefer Yetzirah, they're referred to as the Teli, T-E-L-I. I write all about this. You go search this out. Sefer Yetzirah says that they rule in this universe like a king on his throne. They're the reptilians. We know who they are. And they know us. We know them by different names. The book of Daniel calls them the Irin, the Watchers. The book of Isaiah refers to them as the Seraphim. Now, the Seraphim are the ones who are in the palace of God saying, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. So they're pretty high up there in the order. But people say, oh, the word Seraphim, that means burning ones. And I feel like taking the head and giving somebody a whack on the side of the head, saying, that's what you get for not understanding Hebrew correctly. The Hebrew word for burning is soreth. And if they were burning ones, then they would be called Sorethim. But it's very clear from the book of Isaiah that they're not called that. They're called Seraphim. And the word seraph, that's exactly what Moses was told by God to put on a staff back in the book of Numbers. Clearly a reptilian. These are reptilian entities. And they're the good guys.
Okay, wait a minute. What did he say? Let me play that again.
Clearly a reptilian. These are reptilian entities. And they're the good guys. They are not all of this dimension. They're of different dimensions. Many of them are ancient. They know us all too well. Many of them are in inner earth. And according to our legends, on the day of the destruction of the temple, first temple, 586 BCE, on the 9th of Av, the day of the destruction, a woman of the house of David gave birth to a child. This is a legend, this is Midrash, this is a Gemara. And the child was abducted and taken away. The Zohar states that this child for the last 2,500 plus years has been raised in a place called the Bird's Nest, which is said to be in inner earth, in a place called the Garden of Eden. And you know where the Garden of Eden is. Well, let me rephrase that. You know how to access the Garden of Eden, don't you? Midrash. Abraham certainly knew this. When Abraham said that one of the stories says one of his sheep ran into a cave. He goes into the cave. He smells something really fragrant. He finds the burial place of Adam and Eve. Adam gets up and talks to him. Hey, how's it going? All right. Nice to talk to a dead guy. And he's talking. Okay. Remember, it's a story. And it is said that the cave of Machpelah in Hebron is the entranceway to the Garden of Eden. Have ever you guys been in a cave? We got plenty of beautiful caves out here in East Tennessee. Wonderful places. We even have our own cave in our property, which hopefully will develop one day. And gardens. How many people grow gardens in a cave? Garden of Eden's in a cave? Certainly not. But the access to the Garden of Eden is in this cave. Well, how do you get from the garden to the cave and the cave to the garden? We would call that a dimensional vortex passageway. Who believes in that kind of nonsense? I'll give you one person who did. My teacher, Rabbi Meir Levi, Alav Shalom, who was the top student of the head Mekubal of Yerushalayim, Rav Mordechai Sharabi, Alav Shalom. And I will tell you what Rabbi Meir told me. Rabbi Meir was born and raised in Israel, Palestine, in the olden days. And he was around in the days before the Hebron massacre in 1929. And he told me that there was activity of anti-Semitism, because it was well known that deep underneath the cave of Machpelah is something that no one goes down there. And Rabbi Meir told me that every now and then they would kidnap a Jew, tie a rope around him, and lower him down the hundreds and hundreds of feet into the cave. They said over repeated times you could feel the heaviness on the rope of the guy being lowered down, and hear his screaming, ah! Silence. The rope, the weight gone. They pull up the rope. It wasn't broken. It wasn't torn. It was gone. And the guy in it was gone. There's a vortex. And he passed through to what we believe is inner earth. Directly underneath Jerusalem and Hebron is an actual place in inner earth called the Garden of Eden. Now, if we could take the earth and chop it open in half, Nikola Tesla style, would we actually see an inner earth? Or is it full of magma like modern science say? I don't know. I suspect that, we know inside the crust there are caverns the size of continents. They've found more water. There's an underground ocean. I think it was said that it's bigger than all the oceans. So they know something real is down there. When you hear the stories of Admiral Byrd going in through the poles and interacting with entities there, that's in accordance to what we've always known and believed. When you read Margaret Cavendish's book from the 1600s, in a blazing world, sounds just like what our sages have been teaching for thousands of years. All of these peripheral teachings, Agartha, and the Buddhist tradition, sounds just like what we've been teaching.
The beast that thou saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the abyss, and shall go down into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life. Revelation, chapter 17, verse 8.
Is your name written in the Lamb's Book of Life? If not, find out how. Read the New Testament. And also, go to my website. There's a page about it. Also, on my website, find out about the plan the Kabbalists have to bring in their Messiah. Thank you for watching.